Good evening. This is Alexander Watson again. I wanted to talk to you about another thing about leadership tonight. This is a tough one, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than I have in my previous videos. So, an aspect of leadership that you really need to pay attention to and something you need to develop is self reflection. And self reflection is not just how can I improve on what I did today? How can I improve on interpersonal skills? How can I improve on this or that? Stuff like that. You have to really look into yourself and determine some things about yourself and be real with yourself. And that's tough. That's maybe one of the toughest things you'll do as a leader is self-reflection and self-awareness training. I call it training because I do it on a regular basis. I do it daily, sometimes hourly, depending on how good the day is going or how bad the day is going. I will be self-reflective on a regular basis at home, trying to figure out what about myself can I make better so that I can inspire others in the future. And I spend anywhere between 5 and 10 hours a week doing this. And what I've noticed is that the more I do it, the more involved I've been in this process, the easier leadership has actually come to me as far as being engaged with other guys, being engaged with guys at work, the fellow staff members, things of that nature. And they naturally look to me for leadership in many cases because I've put myself in a position of trustworthiness because I've put in the time and the work and the effort on myself that is necessary in order to lead other people. Now, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober about 3 years now, and I've done things in my past when I was drinking that I would consider devious. I was not an honest person. I wasn't a good person. People saw potential in me, and they were banking on the hope that they had for who I could be, but they never got to see that because I ruined it with my alcoholism. And that's a tough truth to have to accept about yourself. Today, people would not describe me as devious in any way. They would consider me trustworthy, compassionate, helpful, intelligent, always willing to listen, things of that nature. They wouldn't say, well, this is a guy that may or may not show up to work. This is a guy who may or may not be sober when he shows up to work. This is not the guy that I can invite to my family get together because he's probably going to be drunk. You know, looking back on that time of my life was tough. It was difficult. And I'm not going to say that you have an addiction that you had to deal with or anything like that. You might have, you might not have. But even if you didn't, it doesn't make self-reflection any easier. You still made decisions throughout your life that you wish you could take back. Like there's some relationships in my past where I really wish I could go to them and show them like, hey, the guy that you saw in me years ago is here. Your hope was not in vain. You know, I wish I could make that happen, but I can't because I ruined those relationships. They're completely beyond repair and there's nothing I can do about it. So I have to accept that. Now, you may have done things in your past that kind of ended up with similar results. Things didn't go the way you planned. Things didn't go the way you had hoped. Situations changed and you weren't prepared. All these things happen to all of us on a regular basis, day in and day out. We all have something that we need to work on. We all have something about ourselves that we would like to improve. But the fact of the matter is, unless you are willing to be completely honest with yourself and do some self-reflection on a regular basis, you're not going to develop into the person that you are capable of being. And I'm here to support you. I'm here to say, realize your potential. Realize it. And the way to realize it is to start the work. Put in the effort. Put in the time. Read books, read self-help books, read books on meditation, read books on self-improving, all sorts of stuff. Teach yourself. You don't have to go to a school to learn this stuff. I did not go to any schooling with leadership in mind whatsoever. I was involved in a couple of honor societies academically, but leadership was the furthest thing from my mind in school. Everything I've learned about leadership, I have taught myself from others, like listening and engaging others, asking poignant questions, reading books, watching videos on YouTube about leadership, focusing on leadership discussions at summits, like the Global Leadership Summit that I was a part of this last year. I asked a ton of questions. I wrote down a ton of notes, and I really just, for 3 days, I just engaged myself fully into learning about leadership. And doing that has helped me tremendously. And the reason why is because I'm coachable, I'm teachable. You have to remain teachable and flexible. And I like to say that you have to be like flowing water. And the flowing water can be a current, or it can be smooth and serene, or it can be wide or narrow. The flow of water can be a lot of things, but it's able to go over any terrain. It can go over rocks or pebbles or dirt or sediment, kitchen counters, anything. Water can flow anywhere. And so being like flowing water, it gives you the ability to adapt to your situations, to set the temperature in the room. So there's an old saying that says that you're either the thermostat or the thermometer. The thermostat sets the temperature in the room. That's the leader. You set the pace, you set the mood, you set everything when you walk into a room. You are the thermostat. Thermometers gauge what the temperature is. That's reactionary. And that's very limited in what it does. You can go into a room and be like, everybody seems really tense. I don't like it here. But then you just stick there and you don't do anything about it. Well, you're wasting time. And time is the most precious commodity any of us has. So this week I wanted to talk to you about leadership. There's a little bit about leadership that I wanted to get out there. I wanted to encourage you to start going down this path, start this journey in your spare time. And we all have spare time. I was watching some breakdown of time in the hours of the year, and 6,000 hours are available through the year outside of sleeping, and you can spend, 4,000 hours on complete leisure time every year. That's 4,000 hours. To put that in perspective, the average American only works about 2,000 hours per year. So you think you have long work weeks, you have much longer leisure time. Now, I understand that you might have kids, a family. A lot of that time is taken up. I don't belittle that in any way, shape, or form. I'm not downgrading that in any way, shape, or form. I understand that you have a lot more on your plate than, say, someone like myself who is single with no kids. I get that your free time is limited, but you can still find 20 minutes, 30 minutes every couple days. A little bit. Anything is better than nothing. So pick up a book, start reading it before bedtime instead of scrolling on Facebook or scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever you're into. Put the phone down, pick the book up, learn a little bit, teach yourself something. And teaching yourself is the first step in the right direction if you want to become a leader in the future. You're not there yet, but you can be. And then even once you are there, you should still continue to teach yourself. I have read well over 100 books on leadership. I've watched probably 1,000 hours on leadership on YouTube. I've gone to conferences. I've talked to individuals. I've spent a ton of time learning about leadership. And I've just scratched the edge of the iceberg of understanding of what leadership is really capable of doing for you if you are diligent at pursuing a career in leadership. And leadership is freeing in a way because I'm not limiting myself to one particular business or line of work, anything like that. Leaders are needed everywhere. I can literally move anywhere in the country and get a job tomorrow as a leader. Now, due to some physical limitations right now and some other stuff going on, I can't. But in the future, that's going to be a possibility for me, and I'm going to grasp that opportunity with both hands. I'm capable of doing a lot more than I've done, but I have to be patient. I have to know when the right time is. And that's something that is strategically intelligent and something that I learned about myself by doing the self-reflection that I started this video out with. I learned about myself. I started to understand some things about myself. I knew some things I needed to work on and change. Transformed myself into a leader, into somebody that people can rely upon, into a trustworthy individual that has a good emotional IQ, shows empathy for others, is an excellent listener, can negotiate, and can teach others the right way to live in the business sense. I can't teach you how to live your life, but I can tell you the right path to get on to be a leader. And that's what I got for tonight. I'm looking forward to talking to you next week. See you then.